Ladies and gents, it's time for an alternative paper review. First up to the Sunday Mirror today. Now, I guess they call it the Mirror because it sort of, reflects what's happening, right? But I suppose just like an actual mirror, you hope you'll see something pleasing when you look at it, but actually what you see in it leaves you an inconsolable sobbing mess. Tories are rigging rules on the election, it says. Ministers forcing through a raft of changes. Now, this is a story that Rishi Sunak's Conservative Party, polling behind for over 2 years now, and in power for 14, have decided that just before a general election is when they need to make some changes to the UK's democratic process. Yeah. How weirdly coincidental that they need to be made right now, just before you're about to lose a GE. It's like, lads, I know it might look bad, but actually there's a very plausible explanation for why we are fiddling with the parameters of our democracy. All right, what's that then? We're shameless fascists. Right, well, that does explain it. And wait till you hear the specific changes, right? Because, on the face of it, changing the electoral process might not always be a 100% bad, evil thing, right? Maybe things do need updating. Maybe there's new tech, new risk, and the processes that support our democracy, maybe they just need tightening up a bit. But it's like, are they moving to outlaw deep fakes in political campaigning? Are they concerned that opinion as fact on the front page of a newspaper in an election, that might not be okay? It might confuse voters. Are they considering rolling back the requirement for voter ID after it was shown to have ostensibly stolen the votes of 14,000 people in the local elections last year? No, none of that. The changes are that they are cementing the requirement that voter ID is presented at general elections. But that's fine, because we knew that was coming anyway. They are permitting rich expats who have lived abroad for more than 15 years to now be able to vote in a GE via this new proxy voting system. And they're doubling the amount a party can legally spend on campaigning in a general election. So what does that mean, in English? Well, it means you can vote if you're 75 and you bring along your bus pass, but if you're 25 and you bring along your rail one, well, that's not valid ID. Similarly, or perhaps more insultingly, an Oyster 60 Plus card is fine. But a regular Oyster card, which tends to be used by younger working people, that is not valid ID. And I know it all sounds unfair, guys, but you have to remember, this is to guard against pretending to be someone you're not. You remember pretending to be someone you're not, don't you? It's a very serious business that could get you anything from a fraud conviction to the job of UK Defence Secretary. So no, if you are a young person with a regular Oyster card or a young person's rail card, no, you cannot vote in the general election in case you're somebody else. But if you're a rich expat with no discernible interest in who runs the UK because you've been living abroad for 15 years, don't worry, you can vote in the GE via someone else who lives here, who will ostensibly have to pretend to be you at the ballot box. It's wild. It's so if you're one of these long-term expats, you don't even need to have a registered address here anymore. It's mad. Here they are guarding against this supposed problem of voter fraud by introducing voter ID. Meanwhile, they're encouraging voter fraud by allowing absent people with no address the ability to vote from 3,000 miles away just on the word of an eligible British citizen. Right, okay, well, by that logic. So what if I'm going in to vote, but I forget my voter ID? Can I use an eligible British citizen to vouch for me? Absolutely not. You could go die in a pit. Right. Yeah, of course not. I suppose that would not be secure, right? Anyway, next up, the Sunday Express, with Rishi targets Saga votes to win the next election. And this is Sunak trying to woo the over 50s, which, I mean, good good luck to you, Rish. It's good to have goals, but like, I mean, have you seen you? I mean, you are detached, out of touch, you live in a bubble, you're petulant, you're fundamentally unlikable. And only this week, there's been headlines in the Tory press suggesting that anyone below the age of 60 would be considered for conscription. So like, in terms of charming people over the age of 50, I don't know, I reckon Rishi Sunak ranks somewhere between heart disease and prostate cancer. But it continues. Shocking rise in middle age, still struggling to get on the ladder. And it cites a 29% increase in people of that just over 50 age bracket who were then, only then, able to finally buy their first home. Which, I mean, look, is that really shocking to anybody? Is it shocking to you? But the average price of a home now in the UK is 285 grand. Meanwhile, the average salary is 33k. So the average house is now 9 times the average salary. Plus, everything else is just too expensive that you could ever even save the deposit. And even if you could, like, if you were buying a house for 285k on a £33,000 a year salary, you would need to have saved £153,000 for that deposit. And even then, it would work out as like £800 a month. It's almost £1,000 a month, which on that salary would be half of your income gone just to exist. But of course, the alternative is renting, and that's becoming a neo-Victorian nightmare. Plus, the government are still not building enough houses. So yeah, is it shocking that only in your 50s people are starting to get on the ladder now? Is that shocking to anybody? That your best shot now at buying a place probably is when you're like, 57. Your parents finally croak, and you are finally bequeathed that sweet, sweet bereavement dividend. Finally, to the Observer, who splashed with the ridiculousness of the UK accepting Rwandan refugees, like people fleeing Rwanda from persecution over there at the same time as we are trying to pass a law to say that it's safe so we can ship our asylum seekers over there. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, if it's agreeably not safe, then let's just shut the policy down and move on. Of course, there's still all the usual rumblings in the background that, we have to leave the ECHR because they're stopping the planes from taking off. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think most of the Tories, their issue with the ECHR is actually just fueled by jealousy, because they appear able to stop a fleet of planes while you guys can't even stop one boat. I mean, even the Houthi, who fight with bows and arrows, basically, even they have stopped a couple of boats. What are you playing at? Incidentally, do you know what I would do if I was an asylum seeker? Like, if I was interviewed and processed and then they said, I'm sorry, mate, but you are off to Rwanda. We've got your name and your flight date here. So you're staying in a travel lodge until then, but then you can choose, you can go by bus or train, and then you're off to Gatwick, right? I'd be like, yeah, okay, all right, sounds good. Yeah, I'll take the train. And they'll be like, all right, whatever. Then when I get to Gatwick, and they're like, yeah, what's your name? Where's the ID? Then you show them your train pass, the fact you're under 60, and they'll have to be like, oh, God, she's a young person with a rail car. It's not valid ID, is it? He's gamed the system, the clever bastard. And they'll be like, yeah, actually, no, I'm an expat. I'm an expat, and I would like to nominate an eligible British citizen to do this on my behalf. You see some sherry-swilling Tory from the Shires getting bum-rushed onto the Rwanda flight. Like, I think there's been some sort of mistake. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Do check out the pod I did the other night, episode 245. It's called Plunged Out the Fun Tunnel. It's about gun culture, the NRA, all of that stuff over in the US. And if you're enjoying all of my nonsense, do consider maybe tapping the thanks button. Throw me a little, tip in the tip cup for this veritable dance that I'm doing for you. Or even better, join the Patreon or the YouTube communities that I'm building. The next meetup for those is coming up in March. But right now, I've got to go, guys. I got to go and mainline some alcohol so I age more quickly. Well, that's my plan from now onwards, is to try and make myself look like I'm in my mid-50s so Sunak gets confused and gives a fuck about me. Peace.